Welcome to Arvin and Megan Create. Megan's behind the camera today, and I'll be showing you guys our pantry. Like, all of this tiny little space. We'll probably start with just the fact that this is also our cleaning closet. We decided to put some command hooks up in here for our mop, our broom, dustpan, vacuum accessories, stepladder. We repurposed a hand towel bar that we didn't like in our bathrooms to kind of actually also hold hand towels down for the kitchen. I hate having to use other wipes when I have towels for this stuff. And our aprons, which I forgot were here because I haven't put an apron on in a long time.
Megan uses those.
All right, so
you could mention these lights.
yeah, we have all our lights ready here because actually this pantry light wasn't working until I smacked it a few times and it decided to cooperate. We're lucky today. Most days it just doesn't turn on, so I don't know what's going on with it. So decided pantry tour. This is where we keep all our dry goods and our bulk goods. Also, we have a place to kind of like store our, what do you call it? Dry produce. And this is all from the garden, to be honest. This was last year's garlic braid that we just kind of kept up for decoration. Well, let's start from the top then. From left to right, it's cinnamon bark, chocolate chips, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, icing sugar, and tapioca flour. We like to have quite a bit of cinnamon bark on hand, ready to go, because of, I think it's mostly for like broth, like a vegan pho broth tends to use cinnamon bark pretty heavily. Chocolate chips, like who doesn't like chocolate chips? And we tend to use pumpkin seeds and chia seeds in granolas and oatmeals and that type of stuff. Chia seeds can be used for some kind of egg substitute too, I think. Icing sugar, kind of like basic use. Tapioca flour, it's like a thickening type thing, isn't it? I don't know. I don't use that much, so I'm gonna get Megan's approval for a lot of this stuff. And on the second shelf here, we have a jar that holds more of our dry goods. It's like our garlic ginger storage thing. We have some ginger in the freezer for grating. It's just easier to grate from frozen. And on the back here, these are all like saved seeds from last year's bean plants and nasturtiums. Some toasted toasted sesame seeds. And I don't remember what that white stuff is. It's probably just some cornstarch or something that didn't fit.
I actually don't know what that one is. And I didn't label it, so that's my fault.
Mystery flour. All right, but again, from left to right on this shelf, it's golden flax seeds, pitted dates, pinto beans, almonds, cocoa powder, sunflower seeds, unsalted peanuts, kombu, kelp, Brazil nuts, and almond flour. And if you guys can see, there's 2 extra jars here too. Unlabeled or unfilled cashew jars. It's been a while since we stocked up on cashews, but we do use a lot of it. That's why it's empty. And spelt flour, which we decided we have a lot of whole wheat flour. We'll just use that up for now instead of buying spelt, which feels almost the same. But anything that stands out here to me, golden flax seeds, that's like another egg substitute, I think. Well, there's a lot of egg substitutes when you're vegan. We use a lot of pinto beans. I don't know how you guys like to say it. But,
pinto beans.
Beans are pretty much a staple here. And pitted dates get used a lot in baked goods. Same with like cocoa powder and stuff. And all these sunflower seeds are actually saved from the sunflowers that we grew last year, so that's kind of neat. We haven't quite done anything to roast them yet, so like
we're gonna plant them.
But we could plant them. I guess we can move on to the next shelf, unless you want me to talk about kombu now that I'm done the whole shelf. Right. So now that I've done the whole shelf, we can talk about kombu. Kombu is like a dried seaweed. I don't know if that's a good view of it. It looks a little. It's just like dry leaves.
Looks moldy, but it's not.
It smells very strong. We use it for kombu broth, I guess. It's kind of like soak it in hot water, and the water takes on the flavor of the seaweed. Mm-hmm. And it's like it adds another layer of depth to like miso soup. We do high effort miso soup sometimes by like doing shiitake broth and kombu broth, and then it's a lot of work for a miso soup, but it does taste like better, I think. Maybe because we're working harder for it. I don't know. Anyway, next shelf. We have unsweetened coconut, steel cut oats, cereal, which I think is like Nature's Path cereal. There's a bunch of vegan options from them, so we tend to stick to them. Hemp hearts, popcorn, glutinous rice flour, and 2 empty jars, which are formerly, I think, brown sugar and coconut sugar. But we're trying to cut down on our sugar intake, and if we just don't have it in the house, then we have less sugar, right? No. I don't know what to say, especially about any of these things. They get used from time to time, but you know, I go for cereal the most, and hemp hearts, I throw those in my oatmeal. The rest of this stuff, mystery use.
Megan uses most of it. Here, I'm down here.
You can tell that I don't do much of the cooking. But at least I know what most of the stuff is for, right? Like, anyway.
I'm the housewife, so...
Moving on, down to our second from the bottom. We have sesame seeds, quinoa, xylitol, coconut flour, green lentils, millet, brown rice, glutinous rice, and raisins.
Arvin does not like raisins.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of raisins. That's what's all the way in the back. You can see those. I guess I could just talk about sesame seeds again. Like, yeah, I don't know why we have such a big jar for that. We probably could swap that for a smaller one. Quinoa. Our favorite thing to do with quinoa is like mix it with the other grains, which is quinoa and millet, and we keep jasmine rice or some other kind of rice on hand, and we cook them all at the same time. Pretty sure you guys have heard that on this channel before. Xylitol is a low-calorie sweetener made from some kind of tree bark.
Birch bark.
Birch bark. There you go. It's pretty easy to substitute with sugar. I think it's a 1-to-1 ratio, and you can't tell the difference.
It's a little less sweet, but...
Oh, a little less sweet. But we prefer a lot of things less sweet anyway, and that's probably why we don't notice a difference. Coconut flour...
Baking cookies.
Flour. We have green lentils. This gets used a lot. We do a lot of beans and lentils. It's like pretty much necessary when you're vegan to have beans and lentils in your diet. And greens like millet and quinoa. I should probably put those together because I always grab them together at the same time anyway. We have wild brown rice here. What do I have to say about this? I like my white rice more than I like my brown rice, but supposedly it's healthier. I don't know. If you guys have an opinion on that, maybe you could tell us, inform us that white rice is better. Yeah. And then glutinous rice, which might be a bit of an exotic thing, I guess, in North America. It's like a dessert rice almost.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I only know how to use it in like Filipino desserts, so that's why I call it dessert rice. And raisins. The disappointing cookie filler.
Jasper and I like raisins.
All right, last shelf. We have dried shiitake mushrooms. These are homemade noodles. I think these are sourdough noodles.
Sourdough, yeah.
We could probably put some other noodles in here once we finish these guys up. Our white sugar, mung beans, black beans, more glutinous rice, bread flour, and red lentils. I mean, obviously, now that we're doing a pantry tour, we realize that there's a few things that could be rearranged. Like these two rices could probably be together. Sesame seeds could be in a smaller jar, stuff like that. So it's useful to actually go through your pantry and like review it every now and then.
I mean, we use everything quite often, but I mean, we don't make dessert like glutinous rice stuff very often, so
yeah. So some key things here, I guess, for us. Shiitake mushrooms, these actually get rehydrated a lot, and we eat the mushrooms after rehydrating them, and we use the broth for different things, like mushroom gravies, I think, and miso broth, or like soup broth and stuff like that.
I put them in chilies sometimes.
Yeah, we do lots with these. We mung beans, yeah, another set of beans. We're actually trying really hard to find split mung beans, like the without the green skin on it, and then you can tell it's yellow. I know what they look like, and we haven't been able to find them. My parents used to sell them, but the split yellow mung beans are like a key ingredient in making your own vegan eggs, and we're really curious
I want to try that. Yeah.
So if you guys know where to find that, like, you could drop that down in the comments because it's been hard to find. Black beans, I'm actually surprised we have black beans topped up. Normally this is pretty close to empty because we use this a lot in like curries or chilies, Mexican type stuff, where plain black beans by itself. You know, I use them in burritos. Bread flour. We've been baking more since the pandemic started, and we've been babying a little sourdough starter in the fridge. Not that that's related to bread flour, but I guess some recipes require sourdough starter and bread flour, I think. You probably can. I'm sure I can find a recipe that says that. And then red lentil stew is another form of lentil. We like green and red ones. The red ones I think are easier to cook, and they have like this lighter texture.
The green ones are harder.
And the green ones are like,
they're
I
firmer.
wouldn't say harder. There's a firm texture to it. I don't know. I prefer red.
Used in different things, yeah.
And the bottom layer is where our biggest jars are. The floor in our pantry holds our heaviest jars for bulk ingredients that we need the most of, which tends to be flour, some sort of bread flour, chickpeas, whole wheat flour, rolled oats, and some form of rice. Right now it's holding sushi rice. We haven't been doing much sushi, so we might just put like regular rice in there, like jasmine or basmati or something. And we don't make that much sushi.
But when we do,
we go all out. So it does deserve a space in our pantry, but I think we can downgrade that to a smaller jar.
Downgrade it to that one.
Yeah, something like that. But part of the reason we have a pantry with all this stuff is we try to limit how many times we go to a grocery store to pick up stuff, because it's easy to pick up extra every time you visit. It helps us stay on budget, and also helps us save some time by having everything at home in the first place. I don't know, is there any other good reason now we have a pantry? It makes us feel good that we have food.
I mean, the pandemic has made us like not want to go shopping very often.
I mean, the one other advantage, like Megan said, about money is we have the space to buy more items when they're on sale. So we get like double or triple what we usually get when the price is much lower. And then we store it for quite a while, and we just don't shop for that for a while.
Yeah.
By the way, we have another pantry. It's in the garage.
Oh,
This
yeah.
isn't the end of the tour.
2 pantries in 1 tour.
Yeah. And
It's a backstock pantry.
Megan wants to call it a backstock pantry. I've never heard of that term until we started looking up more home organization videos, and there's definitely lots of those.
Yeah.
And they're fun to watch because you get to see how people keep things orderly. I think I like order and functionality. This is really functional for us. I guess I should say that we have a bit of a crawl space back here. It looks empty right now.
It is.
I think Megan cleared it out for the video. I remember there being buckets here.
No.
What did we store here before?
There used to be like Jasper's clothes he wasn't fitting in yet. But
Yeah.
now we sold most of them.
So we used the crawl space for like household items that weren't used a whole lot, but we've managed to minimalize things on our minimalist journey that there's all this space here for
Nothing.
we could probably grow mushrooms in here.
Ooh.
I've never thought of that. One of my friends growing up had mushrooms under the staircase, and that's why it reminded me this is the staircase.
We could grow mushrooms in there.
Yeah, with a little fan. You could seal this with a little bit of a...
Yeah, like a sheet or a tarp or something.
We're going off topic. This is a pantry tour, but one day you'll see a mushroom farm in there.
We'll have a mushroom farm. Okay, we should, I guess, go to the other pantry now and show you guys that, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I think you need to stop recording so we can move all our lights.
Oh,
or at
yes.
least...
Yeah, we will move the lights and we will return in the other pantry. The garage.
Caught me prepping. Welcome to our garage. And this corner is our garage pantry. And I think maybe Megan wants to call it something else, like our backstock pantry.
It's like backstock, and it's also like chips and other things that don't look pretty in jars.
Yeah. So we had a shelf system. I think it was in our laundry room, and that's the rail system right there. And I think it had 3 shelves, so 1, 2, 3. And we decided we hated it, and we repurposed it for the garage by adding a few more shelves. And what Megan means by backstock is when we fill up our bulk jars or any of our containers in our snack jars and stuff, sometimes not all of the stuff fits. And this is where all the leftovers go. But some things also don't get stored inside the house. And let's go through it shelf by shelf. Starting from the top, I think you guys can see the giant pile of chips. We go through a lot of chips, mostly for chips and salsa. Sometimes there's more junky type chips there, like deep fried chips or whatever they're called, kettle cooked chips. Yeah, the Kettle brand is the ones we tend to like. And then we have instant noodles, 2 bins for instant noodles, because I don't know, it's just like an easy option that's I like. We finally have a spot for dog food and cat food, instead of having them in jars. It was having all those cans in their big deep jars made it hard to pull out. It actually makes sense to have it kind of just like easy to access on a shelf. We have a small bin here too for canning lids, for the end of harvest season, when we make the effort to can more stuff to get used like once a year.
More jars up there too.
And with the rest of the jars over here, to be honest. From next year down, we have a bin for baking goods. So it looks like right now we have spare icing sugar, cocoa powder, extra vanilla probably was on sale. That's why we have a second one. Stuff like that. We have a whole bin for seaweed because they just take up a lot of space, and we use seaweed for what? Mostly sushi and miso. And actually, Jasper really likes eating seaweed sheets by itself. Then right below that, we have a bin for lentils that don't quite fit in the jars in the under the stairs pantry. We have a bin for crackers and tortillas. A bin for bulk nuts and seeds. Just taking a look at what's in there because I actually haven't checked it out in a while. It's just the extra almonds and peanuts from the looks of it, and like flaxseed, cumin seeds, stuff like that. Stuff that we prefer to get in bulk because it's cheaper to get stuff in bulk instead of like the tiny little package for like whatever. We have dedicated a whole bucket for salsa because we go through so much salsa. I think when we first started our grocery budget, we tried to do like 2 jars at a time, and it would be done in like a day or 2. So it just deserves more space, but not an infinite amount of space. We'll be having salsa every day.
We could do that.
We have a small bin for cereal. So down here we have condiments. If we had extra ketchup and mustards, that's where we go. We tend to have extra pickles because Jasper loves pickles.
There's mustard in there.
Yeah, there's a mustard in there.
Sauerkraut, I think.
We don't actually tend to get extras of ketchup because they're so big in the first place, the ketchup things. But we do have extra lemon juice, Santa Cruz lemon juice, and Santa Cruz lime juice. Sometimes actually these are hard to find, so it's actually very helpful to have them stocked up at home. Okay, this is a complicated one. This is ground spices and crushed and whole pepper. I don't know why we have a whole bucket for crushed and whole pepper, but I think
we have a lot.
I think what she means by that is like black pepper, spicy peppers,
yeah,
that type of stuff. And then ground spices is, I guess, the other stuff that's not pepper.
Yeah.
So I mean, as examples,
it's like the four of them. There's 4 of them there.
So yeah, like onion powder, garlic powder, curry powder. Yeah, that makes sense actually. Ground spices.
Ground spices.
We have another space for dried beans, and we do separate beans from lentils because, you know, actually they're 2 different categories in our heads. A space for tomatoes. Tomatoes are like, we go through so much of them when we do use them for something that they need a dedicated shelf, dedicated bucket. And then, another one for spices.
Yeah.
Whole spices.
We have 4 shelves.
So if they're not pre-ground, they come whole, obviously, and we have a space for that. So let's see what's in here. More cumin seeds. That's misorganized. And then stuff like star anise, I guess.
No, not right now. Not right now. Not right now. Okay, you can go be.
Hi, Jasper.
Okay.
Jasper will join us.
Start explaining the spices again.
All right. So I just realized that we also have whole spices and ground
Jasper
spices.
joined.
Pickles.
Yeah,
love
I
pickles.
told you he likes pickles.
And I love apples.
Oh, don't bite
Oh.
more. No, this is why they're out here.
This is Mom's stash of apples because Jasper will eat all the apples if we don't hide any.
I like to have 1 apple a day, but he takes bites out of every
Onion.
apple.
I don't like onions.
Okay, you can put it back down.
You can put it back down.
So-
We gotta go through the shelves. Dad's gonna explain these ones, bud. Can you sit?
Can you sit right here?
Salsa!
Can you help me?
I love
Can you hold this for me?
I love salsa.
Okay, so this bucket was for whole spices. Some of our spices we prefer.
Salsa and yogurt.
Some of our spices we prefer to have in a whole form, so we can like toast it and then we grind it up ourselves instead of having it kind of like pre-ground when we buy it from the stores. And we also have a bucket for seeds and leaves. I know it's hard to find certain things for cooking, but I assume there's like, I don't know.
This is the back stock. This is
Bay
only when we
leaves.
need to
I know.
stock things.
There's probably stuff like bay leaves, rosemary leaves, you know, that type of stuff in here. Sometimes it's a bit of a, what's the word? Easter egg hunt? I don't know. It's some kind of hunt looking for the right thing in here. Then we have a space for nut butters and jams. Right now we only have peanut butter. Sometimes we have
Cashew
fancier butters like cashews or tahini or almond butter even. Right now just plain old peanut butter.
Okay.
And I've transitioned to sitting on my bum because I've been squatting too long. And the last
Oh yeah. 1 sec. Let me sit. Okay.
so the last part of our pantry is this bucket here. We had a spare bucket because we managed to minimize some of our stuff. This used probably to hold clothes or something.
Yeah.
But now it holds rice, flour, sugar, and oats. At least that's what the label says. And I'm quite sure that we've managed to stick to that, but I actually already see here there's quinoa in there. Sneaky quinoa. What
Well,
do you...
it's like. Why is there quinoa in there?
Why is there quinoa in there? That's what I said. And
Why?
this is...
Wait, I didn't even. Okay.
This
I
is...
didn't know we had quinoa.
And that's why it's useful to check your pantry every so often. So yes, it's labeled for rice, flour, sugar, and oats, unless the quinoa comes to life and hides in there. And we also have a little bit more space. We tend to keep like the potatoes over there,
Yeah.
maybe bags of onions. I'm actually not quite sure if we should be storing onions and potatoes together.
That's why they're not beside each other.
Yeah, okay. And then spare baking soda? What's this called?
For the fridge.
Baking soda? Baking soda. Oh my god. My brain fart. Extra vinegar is here too.
For cleaning.
And I mean, I don't really want to pull out this bucket, so you guys just have to assume that I'm telling you the truth. Because it's big. I actually hate going in here. But it's like, you know, we have such big jars for flour and rice inside that I hardly ever have to go here to fill it up because there's lots of space.
It's like once every few weeks we fill them up.
So one of the points that I realized is a benefit of having a pantry too, for anyone that's finding that they eat too much of something, is that if you have a space for it in your pantry, it's like one way to naturally limit how much you have. And if you just don't stock up on it, like, you know, every time you go, it's like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, I'm going to fill it up once a month. And you only, if you eat through it in the first week, then you don't get any more.
We do that with chips.
Yes, we're guilty of doing that with chips. If we just can't justify buying chips all the time, so we stock up the space. Once we're done eating it, that's it till the next grocery trip. So like typically we have 2 days of chips and 12 days of waiting till the next grocery shop, because we try to shop every 2 weeks or twice a month roughly, for bulk goods anyway. Every now and then we'll limit ourselves to like only fresh stuff at the store, please. Going hand in hand with the dry goods pantry type stuff is we do have this freezer here. You guys can see it. I think we'll do that for another video. We're done here in the garage, but I remembered one of our points was to show you our label maker. We went and got our label maker, and we thought we should share how we label our jars, just because it helps us keep us organized, and maybe some of you are interested in having a uniform labeling system. I think Megan kind of filmed that in the pantry, and if you guys have any questions, we'll answer that before you guys even ask it. So this is our label maker. It's a, what do you call it? A manual label maker. It has a tape and all the characters that you might use in a label. Then you have to kind of like set it to the letter or character. In this case, I'm going for a space, because we normally have a space at the front of our label. And you set it there, and you press it like that. Yeah.
And then you do that for every letter, and you could say what we're labeling.
Oh, why is there a number 1 here already? So Jasper must have inputted a 1 because there's already something coming out of the sticker here, but we'll just trim that off. So we start with a space because we like to give it a space. And this is a jar of wakame. We kind of missed that in our pantry because we took it out. We realized it was unlabeled. It's more seaweed, again.
More seaweed.
Yeah, this is the type of seaweed that you rehydrate and throw into soups. At least we do it for miso soup. I imagine there's more uses for this. But we don't have a label for it, and I guess we'll show you now how we make that. So W. And the letter A. I will stop now.
No, it was cute.
And M. I don't know my letters. E. And that's it. W-A-K-A-M-E. And then I need to do a space.
And then you gotta cut it.
And then there's a special position for the cutter. I'm a little nervous because I don't really
It will
do this
shoot
much.
out. On the ground.
So yeah, and then ignoring the 1 there, that's how all our labels tend to, well, that's how they will look.
Yeah.
And then we'll trim off some of that edges to make it look uniform, and then we stick it on. And I'll know what to put in here when it's time to stock up stuff. So that's the end of our pantry tour. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys have any questions about what we showed you today, like please leave your questions in the comments. We do look through them. We're a small channel. We get back to every comment. Like, and we do like having those ideas there. It helps us think of what we should do for our next video. We'll see you guys in the next one.